You are watching NCN.
A very good afternoon to you, and welcome to ChildLink's discussion program. Discuss a number of social issues. My name is Tiana Jordan, and I'm the Advocacy and Communications Officer here at ChildLink. This afternoon, we'll be discussing a very important topic, which is none other than promoting healthy parent child relationships. And of course, this discussion would not be possible without our 1000 Boys initiative, which is fully funded by the European delegation here in Guyana. And this afternoon, we have with us three young ladies who will be, of course, sharing their views on this topic. We all know that having a healthy parent child relationship is important when it comes to the development of all children. So, good afternoon, ladies. I'll leave it up to you to introduce yourselves and, tell us a bit about yourselves. We
Good
can start with
afternoon.
Shaquita first.
Oh, hi, good afternoon. My name is Shaquita Thomas. I am the Guidance and Counseling Officer attached to the Mackenzie High School to the Ministry of Education. I am very eager and happy to be here to share with you today because as we speak of parenting, I'm parenting. My baby's right here. So if you hear some cooing in the background, just pardon me.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Ragobeer, and I'm a second year student, social work student at the University of Guyana, currently doing my practicum at ChildLinK. So I am extremely happy to be here to share on this topic because I have a 9-year-old son, so lots of experience there.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Emma Bianchinni, and I'm a second year student at the University of Guyana studying social work, and I am currently doing my practicum at ChildLinK as well. I was given the opportunity to be a part of this program to learn about the future because I'm not a parent as yet, so this will benefit me in a good way.
Yes, thank you, ladies. And it'll definitely be wonderful to hear your perspectives. We have two parents today on this discussion, Shaquita and Maya. And it'll also be, great to hear Emma's perspective. Maybe we can hear about your experience with your parents. And I want to hear from all of you. What do you think of when you hear the term parent-child relationship?
So I believe that a parent-child relationship or a healthy parent-child relationship rather is one that nurtures a child in every aspect of his or her development, that is physical, emotional, and even the social aspect. It is that unique bond that is shared between a parent and a child. It's one that's incomparable to any other, and it has a lot of influence on their personality, their choices, and the kind of adults that they grow up to become.
Yeah. So I share with Shaquita. I think positive nurturing is what healthy parent-child relationship gives. It's one that between your child you have this trust and love, this respect, this understanding, a relationship that both parent and child feel valued and supported. So, and in this modern world, we know that respect and having our child's interest is all very important. So, yeah, that's my opinion.
Yeah. Adding to that, I think it includes emotional, social, and physical aspects of the relationship with love, trust, and communication, support, and guidance from our parents because we do really need that from our parents. We as children too look forward for that from our parents.
Thank you very much for sharing. I do agree with all of you. I think Shaquita got bounced off. But we know that creating a close and positive parent-child relationship is it's a crucial aspect of parenting. What do you think, or why do you think rather, it is important for parents to have that healthy relationship with their child? Shaquita, did you hear the question?
Oh yes, I heard you. I heard you.
Okay, great.
For me, I think it's necessary, as was mentioned earlier by Sequita. It's necessary to encourage a child's emotional well-being, a child's self-esteem, and to say to a point their overall positive development. When you have that healthy relationship with your child, or you develop that, then your child will be able to go out into the world and have healthy relationship with others. So and the world is becoming modern. We're seeing that transformation and everything. So we need to encourage our children more emotionally. We need to nurture them positively and just build their self-esteem so they can develop properly and have make healthy choices.
Yeah.
Yes, I can't agree more with what my colleague is saying because, and I want to reiterate that their holistic development depends on it. As parents, we are the molders of our children. We set the very foundation standards, whether it's their social, it has to do with their social interaction, the way that they resolve conflict, it is the way they think or feel about themselves. We set the foundation for such. And so when we're able to mold and maintain a healthy relationship with them, showing and demonstrating how it is that you resolve conflict in a healthy manner, how it is that you speak about things that are difficult to speak about in a good or respectful way. Linguistics, it depends on our parenting, the way our children process their emotions, how they deal with it. What do when you become angry? Do I lash out and abuse at everybody, or do you sit, take a moment, breathe, count to 10? So having a relationship with your parents basically sets the foundation for the kind of adult him or her will, become.
Yeah.
Yes. Is there anything you would like to add to that, Emma?
They've covered it. They covered what I would have wanted to say.
Okay, sure. Yes, so it's very important for parents to build that healthy relationship with their child. As we move on, I want to hear from you about what are some of the parenting styles or parenting techniques that parents they can adapt to ensure that they maintain that healthy parent-child relationship? I know Shaquita, you're a parent, and Maya, you're a parent, so I would like to add that personal touch to this discussion, maybe where you tell me what are some of the parenting styles that you would use, to maintain that healthy relationship with your child.
Well, I'm relatively new to the parenting game as my daughter is only 7 months old. However, I parenting starts or begins at when the child is conceived. And so, I right now would personally to communicate as much as with my child. I don't goo gaga, but I say sometimes I believe the children can sense and feel your energy, can know if you're going through a lot or you're stressed. And I say, you know what, Illy, mommy is having a bad day today. And mommy's not angry with you or upset with you or anything. So if you sense or vibe anything, just know that, adults, we do go through things, humans go through things. I do that kind of thing. However, what I know from my knowledge and based on studies is that there are four types. There's the authoritative, there's the authoritarian, the permissive, and the uninvolved parent. And so one focus on obedience, while one is more really on relationship building, that being authoritative, then there's a permissive, do whatever you want, you know, learn experience uninvolved, who completely neglect or do not look into much of what the children do. I mean, these may be some negative and one positive form of parenting, but what I is that while dealing with, especially working in the system, they are of each of this type of parent in us. But what I always encourage parents is that it's a balancing act. It's the ability to balance discipline with love, where one do not necessarily override the other. You know when to increase and when to decrease. When to increase love and hold back on the discipline. When discipline is necessary, however, love must be constant, right? So that is something that I hold dearly to me. You know, creating and maintaining that balance, even with my young child. That is not the right thing to do. Don't pull on that, but the tone that is used is one that speaks from a place of care and genuine love.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you for
and
sharing that. Shaquita. Go
yeah,
ahead, Maya.
so what was Shaquita said, she would have outlined the four um, parenting styles. I think there's a fifth one, and that's the over-involved parent, where I was in that position, where as my son was growing, I used to get involved with everything. If he fell, I never allowed him to pick himself up, and I would always worry if he's hurt and get pick him up. I'll pack his toys back, and it was not giving him that opportunity to do things for himself or make decisions on his own. I had to learn. I had to unlearn that, and I had to learn the right thing. Where now we solve problems together. I allow him to make his own decision. I consider his feelings before I tell him stuff. I encourage him to talk to me more often, and I try to help him by giving him the tools or showing him how he should do it rather than doing it for him. So that's where I think that's my style now. And I know a lot of people would have been super over involved with their children. Don't. You just allow them to make their mistakes on their own. They will learn from their own mistakes. Just have patience.
Yeah. Adding to what I've said, active listening too is very important, where the parents should listen to their children's thoughts and feelings and concerns without judgment. Right? Sometimes children they feel the need to lie just so that the parent wouldn't judge them or have anything to say. So thinking about the children's feelings and thoughts would also be important too, and listening to them, which is active listening.
Yes, you all made some very, very strong points there. And when it comes to parenting, one thing that parents should do is lead by example. Your kids would be looking at everything that you do also. So it's up to you to be that leader for them, lead by example, do things that you would want them to do, say things that you would want them to say, and so on. And I want to know now, what exactly does an unhealthy parent child relationship look like for those parents out there who are probably wondering, is my relationship with my child an unhealthy one? What does an unhealthy parent child relationship look like? Maybe Emma would like to go first on this
Unhealthy?
question.
Unhealthy?
Okay, yeah,
Unhealthy.
sure. No problem.
Okay.
Well, I think that an unhealthy parent child relationship involves neglect, abuse, which may be physical, emotional, or verbal abuse, and excessive control, where the parent is always involved in the child's space. That is what I think
Mm.
is an unhealthy parent and child relationship.
Okay. Yeah, well,
To add. To add to that, I would say that some of what I have seen, and to some extent would have experienced, especially from a cultural point of view, in Guyana, we or maybe across the world, you hear this thing, the ear saying, "I'm the parent," and whatever I say is the, kind of imposing your own personal values on your children. When I say imposing, I mean your dreams. Maybe you lacked or needed something, and so you try to you kind of impose your feelings on your children. Bad day at work, you come home, listen, like don't got to work and work hard and do you abuse them emotionally. You Some parents exhibit what I call a self-centered behavior. Let me just say, I'm not attacking any parent here, because at the end of the day, it's we learn as we go. We learn as we go. And so that self-centered behavior, meaning, oh, I dedicated 9 months to you, I dedicated so much time, now it's time for me to live, and you completely, neglect the emotions and everything about that child. I think my colleague would have covered the majority of those toxic traits.
Yes,
Yes.
I
Is there
agree.
anything you would like to add, Maya?
Yeah, well, you see, with all what that my colleagues would have inputted, when there's an unhealthy relationship between a child and a parent, that child may feel ignored, unimportant, unval- invalidated, and it leads to a lot of misbehaviors and other aspects in their life that are negative, the negative um, effects on that child's emotional well-being, the overall development. So with all that they would have said, these are things that it's a long-term effect of a child-parent relationship.
And if I can just add in there, because you mentioned Maya, the behavior. I recently read this book written by Mike Berry. It's titled "Winning the Heart of
Maya,
My
I didn't get that
Child."
last part. Can you repeat?
Yeah, well, what I've said is that the you have to. It's important to have healthy parenthood relationship, and unhealthy ones will cause long-term negative effects on the child, emotional well-being and self-esteem and overall development, as I would have mentioned before. So
Shaquita, can you
um,
hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
we're hearing you.
Yeah, but I think you're breaking up a bit.
Can you hear us? Because I
Hello.
think you're coming
Can you
late.
hear us?
Can you ladies hear me?
Yes,
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we
we can
can.
hear
can.
you.
Okay. I'm not sure what happened just now. Is Shaquita Was Shaquita the one
Yes,
talking?
yes, she was.
Yes, yes. So I was trying to make a point about a book that I read written by Mike Berry, "Winning My Child's Heart," where he said that behavior is the symptom of something deeper. So a lot of times our behavior can be an indication that there is something wrong with our parent child relationship. It can be something that we're doing, or it can be connected to the fact that we are not attached or connected enough, and my child don't feel safe enough to speak to me about whatever it is. So that can be an indication that our self not so healthy relationship.
And of course, if you know that you have an unhealthy parent-child relationship, we'll always encourage you to seek professional help and get counseling. And we at ChildLinK, we do that. we do offer all of those services.
There is no shame in this game of
Mm-hmm.
parenting. There, when we got, when we became parents, we were never given a manual to say this is how you do it. This is the right way. This is the wrong way. A lot of us parent based on how we were parented. Maybe it could be influenced by a lack or something that we would have experienced as a child, and we apply a lot of our family principles and values, parents principles and values, to how we were parented.
Hi, ladies. I'm sorry, the internet just, I don't know what happened there, but I'm back, and um, I do hope that you are having a fruitful discussion without me. But as we go on in our discussion this afternoon, discussing promoting healthy parent child relationship, I know earlier we would have covered some of the benefits of having a healthy relationship with your child, but maybe for persons who are probably just tuning in, can we maybe go into some more details into the benefits of having healthy parent-child relationship?
Yes, I think I'll leave that. Shaquita, we're not hearing
We're
you.
not hearing you.
Sorry, so I'm saying, just excuse me, I have my baby with me, so I'm parenting while I'm doing this. Anyhow, what I really want to touch on is the fact that when you have a strong connection with your child, it teaches that child to express emotion in a healthy way. A lot of the times, what we have in our society and what we deal with in the school are, the inability of children to assertively start things out. Excuse me. Okay, mom, it's on TV. To assertively start things out, inability of our children to resolve conflict. And so
Yeah.
that a lot of time is an expression, or it shows what happens in our parenting. When our child does something wrong, what do we do? How do we scold them? How do we enforce discipline, right? And I think it is important for us to focus on, how beneficial it is to foster a healthy parent-child relationship. Children who have healthy relationships with their parents are more confident. I have seen it with my own eyes, because they know and they believe that, mommy or daddy got my back. And so they are able to make more assertive choices. They think they're able to consult you on anything that may be affecting them. Yes, yes, baby. When you have a strong relationship or bond with your child, excuse me, it increases the relationship between you and your child. If something is affecting that child, if something happens, then him or her will feel safe enough to come and talk to or open up, to you
Yeah.
about. Right? So I think
Yeah.
it is really important for you to foster a good and strong bond with your children.
Yes, I do
Yeah,
agree with
I do agree
with
too.
um, healthy parent relationship. The benefits are enormous with a child and parent relationship. It is open communication. There is more positive effects on even on our society. When we have these kids, just we're nurturing them well. We're causing them to have healthy. Creating other healthy relationships, then that's going to make this the whole environment a better place. So yes, it's beneficial in all ways beneficial, and open communication. It causes that, it creates bond, it has this trust and creates a respect within a child and parent and the community at large.
Yes, what about you, Emma? Is there anything you would like to reiterate or add to what Shaquita and Maya would have said?
Not at the moment. They've covered what I was about to say too. So
Okay. And also, we know that parenting is one of the most fulfilling yet challenging jobs, and I want to hear from you ladies now. What are some challenges that parents would usually face, that may contribute to an unhealthy relationship with their child? I want to hear from Shaquita and Maya, especially, some of the challenges you're facing as parents. And of course, Emma, I want to also hear your perspective.
So my main challenge was that I realized I had was, work schedule, the time that you spend with your child, and that lack of time would would usually create a lack of communication. You don't get to know your child and stuff. And with work, it the stress of other things that is around you will cause it to be challenging. Also, you find that stress will get in the way, cause you to lash out to your child, which is not healthy. So it's always, I would say, you have to manage that. Manage the time that you have. You come from work, designate time to spend with your family, your children, or your child. Let them know that you're there. You are available to them. You're emotionally, physically available. Have time spent with them. And learn to deal with your stress. Breathe, take breathing exercises. Go take a minute or two for yourself too in that time. Because for me, those were my two biggest challenge, because with work and then the school and then your child, they have needs too. So you having to find that time to get to them. You had to make sure you have a routine too. We Ever often we always want to have a routine for our children, but we ourselves need to put ourselves in that routine where we fix them in there.
Yes.
So I think those two were my greatest challenges in my parenting.
I think one of the things that can affect, the relationship building is the fact that a lot of what happens in our society is that there are homes where the family in itself, the family unit is dysfunctional. So, in the relationship among our parents, mommy and daddy, how do they talk? How do they resolve conflict? How do they, face challenges? And so, a lot of times, what happens is that when you see there's pressure coming from one part or one, major part of our family, let's say the relationship between the parent, a lot of time it can hinder creating that bond between parent and child, because a lot of times what happens is that a parent may see the other parent in that child, something that can also affect that. And I don't really like to stress on it too much, but it's growing up in single parent homes, where a parent may hold a resent towards a child because of the nature of the relationship that they share with the other parent. And those are some of the things. Additionally, I would have mentioned, work and personal strain and self care and how it is important. Sometimes the relationship that we have with ourselves, the way we treat ourselves, will definitely impact how we view the importance of building a bond, connection, or relationship with our child or children. Now, I'm saying that it is not easy because we don't have a manual to do it. However, I often say that everything that we consider, everything must be done in the best interest of the child, because that relationship between the parent and child, we can greatly determine what he or she turns out to become.
Hmm.
yeah,
I agree.
that's true. Also, I important point too unrealistic expectations, where the parent they always expect so much from the children. No, that can also create tension in the relationship as well.
Yes, thank you, ladies. You've all, of course, made some very important points. And if parents are listening, or expectant parents, these are some challenges that you will go through, or you are probably going through. Just know that you are not alone. Every parent would face these challenges. Now we know that communication is a big aspect when it comes to maintaining that healthy relationship, that healthy parent child relationship. What are some tips, or what tips do you have for parents so that they'll be able to effectively communicate with their child or children?
Um, so I have that you need to actively listen to your children. Pay attention to what your child is saying. Show the genuine interest. Meet them eye to eye. Don't always stand pointing fingers down at them, stand above them. Be at their eye level. No, do not interrupt. We don't like to be interrupted when we're speaking at adults. Then we should do the same with them when they're speaking. Give them our undisrupted attention, and give them the opportunity to express themselves. You always have to encourage your children to share their opinion. Sometimes what I have done is I have set out dedicated time. We don't always make the time in the morning to our stuff. We run out quickly, grab stuff, get I have to get breakfast. Father gets ready, this child is there. And I realized that some part of that there's a communication gap. So what we do is that at dinner time, and there's a specific time that we spend at the table, we take off the TV, nobody answers the phone, and we actually communicate. you know there are rules that comes out at the table too. You learn so much. Yes, we don't chew and talk and all of that, but we have that communication, and that has been working for me because I hear about him, I share with him, and I allow him to, get express his feelings. So that is one of the things that helps with communication. You have to dedicate quality time to your children to get that. Pay attention to them and encourage their opinions, their feelings, their voices.
Right.
Yes, I
Yes,
think
and
that
I
communication is.
go ahead.
Go ahead,
Sorry, thanks. Okay, thanks. I think that communication is a very important aspect of human development. And that's why you're encouraged to speak to your belly when you're pregnant. You encourage that your spouse should also speak to the belly when you're pregnant and all of these things. And that is because children hear, listens, they internalize. What do you say to your child? What do you say to your child when you're angry, when you're upset, when you feel overwhelmed? How do you communicate something to your child? What tone do you use? I think that having conversations with your children, it gives them a deeper understanding of you as a person. Because despite the fact that this child is, your child, you're the parent, you're still an individual and you're still two separate persons who can deal with things in different ways. So to sit, have conversations, spend time with your children. There are different stages of development: infancy, toddler, adolescence. And we can acknowledge that that could be one of the most challenging stages to communicate with our children. Because what happens in that stage oftentimes is a lot of children, they shut us out, they shut you down. And what do you do then? Like my would have encouraged, you seek professional help. You sit, you Have conversations with them, share experience, certain experience with them. Let them know that you're coming from a place of love, a place of care, you know. And so communication is basically the foundation of our parenting next to the things that we do and the example that we set.
Exactly. That is
Yeah,
true.
yeah, that's true. Because I would have reflected on appropriate language. Do parents should take into consideration the appropriate language and adapt communication style to your children, the age and the development stage by using language that they can understand. So I agree with you both.
Yes, thank you all for sharing those tips on, how parents can better or effectively communicate with their child to maintain that healthy relationship with them. And I liked how Shaquita mentioned that, communication is the foundation when it comes to parenting and maintaining that healthy bond with your child. Now, just to get to know a little bit more about you ladies, I want to hear about, or I want to hear you describe your relationship with your parents. What was it like?
Well,
Honestly, it's
for me, both of my parents and I have distinctively different relationship. And so that's because my dad, he worked away from home. And so he was here, on intervals. He come out and then he goes back. So him and I, we had this relationship where I was his news reporter. I used to give the updates when he come home. And so we would talk. He would, encourage me and speak to me about life and certain things. We would communicate. We would listen. He is not someone that would shout at me or yell at me or hit or anything at me or my siblings. And so he would sit and he would say, "Don't think you have more sense than me. I know the strokes. I've been your age." And he would, encourage us in that way. However, for my mother, who was mostly around, our relationship is distinctively different. you know she would have My mother wasn't is still very strict, a very strict parent, whereby you're 21, you're studying what's not, you can't go out in certain things she just do not encourage, and that is her principle. But let me say, I am grateful for the approach that she used because it worked for me. It helped me, I believe, to become a more assertive individual who is able to give back to my society in a positive way. I'm not saying that her approach will work for every other child because, like I mentioned in the beginning, parenting relationship is unique. It is unique to that child and to that parent. And so every parent's approach will be different. But basically, how my mother did it and how my father did it, it worked for me as well as my siblings.
yeah. So my parents, as always, my mother was a housewife. My father worked and was not around also, but they were always there. They were always very you know nurturing. They were always allowing us to make mistakes, and I always strive to be like my mother because I always wonder why how she used to do it, because we used to do some crazy things, and of course some of it without never goes without punishment. Those were there, but their style was really liberal, considered the age that they came from. They allowed us to be who we wanted to be, and give us the choices. They never interject, or they never control that part of our lives. So it is why we always are being who we are today. So I I think I totally respect them. And truly, because as Shakrita would have said, it's because of them I'm in this field now, helping, making all the relationships better with the parent child relationship.
Yeah. For me, I would say overall, I am happy with my parenting, with my parents and their style. They showed my sister and I, because it's just the two of us, so they showed us a lot of love and support, and they encouraged us with independence and to have personal growth. But however, there were some times, or there is a time where I wish they would have communicated and understand our perspective more. We can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Can't hear me.
I'm sorry. Yes. It's good to hear, the different perspectives of each of you and, what your parent did differently or what they incorporated to, so that you ladies could be the ladies that you are today, and, you're so successful. And I think that it's all because of our parents. We owe them so much. And it's good to hear that you've all come from different backgrounds. Your parents all did things differently, but we're all here today, so successful. I want to know now, for parents, who may experience a bit of difficulty when it comes to bonding with your children. They may be trying so many different things. They're switching it up, but maybe it's somehow still not working. So for those who are experiencing that difficulty with bonding with their children, what advice would you give to them? What advice do you have for them?
I would encourage that parent to learn their child's love language. We all feel loved in different ways. We all feel touched and appreciated in different ways. For some, it may be spending quality time. For some, it may be, communicating, spending quality time, like I mentioned earlier. And for some, it may be gifts, service, for different things. As we would say in our Guyanese society, different folks, different strokes, right? And so it is important for you to understand your child, learn, study your child, let him or her become your personal project. Know, understand his or her love language in that. What are some things that I can do for, let's say, Shaquita, that can cause her to feel loved? What would she really appreciate? What can I do to bring her closer to me? And that those are things that we have to start looking into as parents. And if you find that you can't do it on your own, I would encourage parents to seek professional help, because sometimes we need someone to meet. We need a middleman to see and hear what we're not seeing, or hear, to assist us in building that relationship. There is no shame in asking for help, and I'm going to say for the 100th time, there is no manual to parenting. We won't get it right all the time.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree with Shaquita totally. And to add to that, we need to behave in a way that our children will look at us. We're our children role model. Eventually, how we behave now, our children will behave later. So, um, you need to be a role model for the children. There are times that you might feel that your children are not listening. You need to have patience, develop a patience, learn again to communicate with your child. Throwing tantrums, being rude, misbehaving are usually a child's way of communicating with you. So if they feel that they're not being heard, or they feel powerful, then there's this lack of connection that you need to learn to build with your child. And sometimes it's a very hard thing to do, but there are counseling sessions that the ChildLinK and other places can offer that can give you parenting styles. You can go online and get all these parenting techniques and read and learn about ways that you can connect and communicate and understand your children more and how they're behaving and have this healthy relationship that we all are striving for.
Right. Yeah, and also an important thing that parents should consider or remember too is that being patient and understanding, building a bond takes time and effort, and understanding that every child is different and bonding will develop at its own pace is a great thing for parents to understand too or practice patience.
Thank you
Yes.
very much, ladies. I think we've touched on so much this afternoon when it comes to that relationship between parents and their children. I know that those persons watching, especially parents, that the tips you've shared, your challenges, your perspectives on your parenting styles will definitely resonate with them. So, if is there anything else you ladies would like to add before we wrap things up this afternoon?
I would just like
All
to
right.
say that, um, elaborate on what my colleague would have mentioned. Exercise patience. Understand that you it will take time, it will really take understanding, it will take patience, grace, exhibit grace. That we all make mistakes as humans. But what we did or what we do shouldn't be what defines us, but how we go forward addressing or dealing with that issue. In order to build a healthy, a happy parenting relationship with your child, it is important for you to understand that that child wouldn't and isn't programmed to be a puppet, but rather he or she is an individual who share his or her own feelings, thoughts, understanding, and may have different views on society. And considering all of those things, think of your approach when dealing with certain matters and certain issues concerning our children. Think of the kind of adult that you would like for him or her to become. Think about the long term when addressing issues now, because what we do now will greatly influence who they become when they go out there into the world, what they represent, that they stand for. And so it is important for you to create a balance. It's a balance, discipline and love. Don't let any outright each other because that is treading on dangerous grounds.
Okay, thank you very
That's it.
much, Shaquita, for sharing that. What about Maya and Emma? Do you guys want to add anything before we go?
I share the same sentiments as Shaquita, and she would have covered it nicely. I just say that respect our children's opinion, open the communication, nurture our children, love them, get to understand them. And if we do not know how to do it, then seek the help, get the help, and learn to do it. We can all learn, it's never too late.
Yeah, I would just like to say that or remind the upcoming parents or parents to be or even young adults before becoming a parent. There are important things that you should learn and you should know for parentinghood that would benefit you and your child. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, ladies. I know you all have busy schedules, so thank you for taking the time out for this discussion this afternoon. I definitely learned a lot from you, especially Shaquita and Maya, when it comes to parenting, and I'm sure Emma herself would have learned a lot,
Yeah,
maybe preparing us for when we become parents.
right.
Well, I
Yes,
just
so
want to
with
say
that
thank
being,
you for having me
oh, it's
in
okay,
Yes.
you're
being
welcome.
here.
Yes, I do look forward to having more discussions with you, ladies. With that being said, I want to thank everyone for tuning in this afternoon and watching and listening to our discussion on healthy parent child relationships. I do hope that you would take whatever you've learned this afternoon, share it with someone else. And of course, you can always reach out to ChildLinK if you need help with parenting. We, of course, offer, we train parents and so on. So you can call us on 233-3502, or you can also call us on 233-3500. You can also reach out to us on Facebook or Instagram. You can reach out to us on Facebook at ChildLinK Inc. or on Instagram at ChildLinK underscore Guyana. Just send us a message telling us what you need help with, and of course, we'll definitely reach out back to you and see what we can do to assist you in whatever way we can. So, with that being said, I want to thank you once again for tuning in this afternoon and listening to our discussion, which wouldn't be possible without the delegation of the European Union here in Guyana, which fully funds our 1,000 Boys initiative.